The red sun of Kepler-9 was setting behind the dark mountains when Daeho found the bodies. He had been walking through the purple forest for 6 hours, taking samples of plants and recording animal sounds. His boots made soft sounds on the moss-covered ground. The air smelled like rain and something else. Something wrong. Daeho stopped walking. His scanner was beeping in a strange pattern. There was something big ahead, something that was not moving. He touched the stunner on his belt, making sure it was ready. The company said the forest was dangerous. They said the Vralkhan lived here. The Vralkhan were the reason 23 colonists were dead in the past year. He moved forward slowly, pushing aside the hanging vines. Then he saw her. The Vralkhan mother was huge. She lay on her side, her 6 legs stretched out. Her body was covered in black and gray fur that looked like smoke. 3 deep cuts crossed her chest. The blood had dried hours ago. Her yellow eyes were open but empty. Daeho had seen pictures of Vralkhan before, but seeing one up close made his heart beat fast. Even dead, she looked powerful and scary. He walked around the body carefully. The cuts looked like they came from another Vralkhan, maybe 2 males fighting over territory. The mother must have gotten in the way. That was sad, but it was nature. Daeho started to turn back to his path. That was when he heard the sound. It was small, weak. A soft crying sound that came from behind a large rock near the dead mother. Daeho froze. He knew that sound. He had studied the recordings back at the base. Baby Vralkhan made that sound when they were hungry or scared. He should leave. The smart thing was to walk away and report the dead Vralkhan to the base. Let someone else deal with it. Baby Vralkhan grew up to be killing machines. They were the top predator on this planet. Nothing hunted them. They hunted everything, but Daeho did not leave. He walked toward the rock slowly. His hand stayed on his stunner. Behind the rock, he found them, 3 cubs. They were small, about the size of house cats from Earth. Their fur was softer than their mother's, more gray than black. Their eyes were barely open. They crawled over each other, crying. Their small paws had tiny claws. One of them looked up at Daeho and made a weak mewing sound. They were starving. Daeho looked at the dead mother, then at the cubs, then at the sky where the first stars were appearing. Night on Kepler-9 was cold. The temperature would drop below freezing in a few hours. These cubs were too young to hunt, too young to survive alone. By morning they would be dead. He pulled out his communicator. He should call the base, ask what to do. But he already knew what they would say. Leave them. It was not his problem. The Vralkhan killed humans. Why save them? Daeho put the communicator away. He took off his jacket and spread it on the ground. Carefully, very carefully, he picked up the first cub. It was warm in his hands. It made a small sound but did not try to bite him. He placed it gently on his jacket. Then the second cub. Then the third. The cubs pressed against each other, seeking warmth. Daeho wrapped them in his jacket and lifted the bundle. They were heavier than he expected. He started walking back toward the base. The forest was getting dark. His arms started to hurt after the first kilometer. The walk back took 3 hours. Daeho had to stop several times to rest. The cubs cried less as they warmed up against his chest. Once he felt one of them move inside the jacket. A small paw pushed against his shirt. The cub was trying to get closer to his warmth. When he reached the base, the main gate was closed for the night. He used his ID card to open the side entrance. The hallway was empty. Most people were in the dining hall or their rooms. Good. He did not want to explain what he was carrying. His quarters were on the 3rd floor. Small but private. He locked the door behind him and placed the bundle on his bed. When he opened the jacket, 3 pairs of yellow eyes looked up at him. The cubs blinked slowly. One of them yawned, showing tiny, sharp teeth. Daeho went to his small kitchen area. He had some protein paste. It was meant for human consumption, but it might work. He mixed it with warm water to make it softer. Then he returned to the bed. The cubs smelled the food. They tried to walk toward it, but stumbled. They were so weak. Daeho dipped his finger in the mixture and held it near the first cub's mouth. The cub sniffed. Then its small tongue came out and licked his finger. It took an hour to feed all 3 cubs. They ate slowly at first, then more eagerly. When they were done, their small bellies looked round. Daeho cleaned them gently with a damp cloth. They did not fight him. Maybe they were too tired, or maybe they understood he was helping them. He made a nest using blankets in the corner of his room. He placed the cubs inside. They curled up together immediately, making soft sounds. Within minutes, they were asleep. Daeho sat on his bed and looked at them. What had he done? These were Vralkan, apex predators. In a few months, they would be big enough to hurt him. In a year, they could kill him easily. Everyone on the base would be angry when they found out. He might lose his job. He might even go to jail for breaking safety protocols. But when he looked at the sleeping cubs, he did not feel scared. He felt something else, something warm in his chest. These small lives had depended on him, and he had not let them die. Tomorrow he would figure out what to do. Tomorrow he would face the consequences. But tonight 3 baby predators slept safely in his room. Tonight that was enough. Daeho lay down on his bed, still wearing his dirt-covered clothes. He was too tired to change. His eyes closed. Outside his window, the station's sensors hummed quietly in the night, watching for danger. They did not know that the greatest predator on Kepler 9 was already inside the base, sleeping peacefully in a nest of blankets. The cubs made small sounds in their sleep. Daeho smiled and let the darkness take him. The alarm started at 3 in the morning. Red lights flashed in every hallway of Research Outpost Kepler 9. The sound was loud and sharp, designed to wake everyone instantly. In the command center, screens lit up with warnings. Commander Hyejin was in the control room within 2 minutes. She wore her uniform, but her hair was still messy from sleep. Her eyes went straight to the main display. "Report," she said. The night officer, a young man named Gite, looked pale. "Commander, the biosensors detected 3 Vralkan life signs. In the residential sector, Section C, 3rd floor." Hyejin felt her blood go cold. "How did they get past the perimeter?" "They didn't, ma'am. The sensors show they've been there for 7 hours, since approximately 8 p.m. That made no sense. The base had sensors everywhere. If a Vralkan got inside, the alarm would have triggered immediately. Check the system." "There must be an error," Gite typed quickly. "I've run 3 diagnostics. The system is working perfectly. There are 3 Vralkan life signs in room 347. That's Daeho's quarters." Hyejin grabbed her communicator. "Security team to Section C, 3rd floor. Armed response. Possible Vralkan breach." She started running toward the residential area. Her heart pounded. Daeho was one of her scientists. A good man, quiet, did his work well. If a Vralkan had gotten into his room, he was probably already dead. Tae-yang met her in the hallway. He was head of security, a big man with scars on his arms from his military days. He carried a pulse rifle. 2 other security officers ran behind him. "Commander, what's the situation?" 3 Vralkan in Daeho's room. I don't know how they got in." Hyejin pulled out her own weapon, a standard-issue stunner. It would not kill a Vralkan, but it might slow one down long enough to escape. They reached the 3rd floor. The hallway was empty. The red alarm lights made everything look like blood. They moved quickly but quietly toward room 347. Other residents opened their doors, confused and scared. Hyejin motioned for them to stay inside. Outside Daeho's door, Tae-yang held up his hand. Everyone stopped. He pressed his ear against the door. Then he looked at Hyejin with a confused expression. "I hear something," he whispered. "But it's not. It doesn't sound like an attack." Hyejin moved closer. She heard it too. A soft sound, almost like purring. And something else, breathing, steady, calm breathing, human breathing. Tae-yang used his security override to unlock the door. It slid open silently. They entered in tactical formation, weapons ready. The main room was dark except for the emergency lights from the hallway. Nothing moved. Then they saw the bed. Daeho was lying on his back, still fully clothed. He was asleep. His breathing was deep and regular, and on the bed with him were 3 shapes, 3 Vralkan cubs. One was curled against his left side. Another was sleeping on his chest, its head tucked under his chin. The third was pressed against his right arm. They were all asleep. All 3 made soft purring sounds. Hyejin lowered her weapon slowly. She could not believe what she was seeing. Tae-yang and the other officers stared with open mouths. "Commander," Tae-yang whispered. "What? What is this?" Before Hyejin could answer, one of the cubs raised its head. It looked at the humans in the doorway with sleepy yellow eyes. It yawned, showing small sharp teeth. Then it looked at Daeho's sleeping face. The cub made a small mewing sound and licked Daeho's cheek. Daeho's eyes opened. For a moment, he looked confused. Then he saw the armed security team in his room. His eyes went wide. "Oh no, Daeho," Hyojin said in a very calm voice. "Do not move suddenly. We're going to get you out of there. Commander, it's okay. They're not dangerous. They're just babies." "Those are Vralcon," Taeyang said. "They killed 23 colonists. Adult Vralcon killed colonists. These are cubs. They were orphaned. Their mother died. I found them in the forest yesterday. They would have frozen to death." Daeho sat up slowly. The cub on his chest slid down to his lap. It made an annoyed sound and tried to climb back up. "See? They're harmless." "Harmless now," Hyojin said. "But in a few months, they'll be big enough to tear you apart." Daeho picked up the cub from his lap. It fit in his two hands. Its fur was soft and gray. "Look at them, Commander. They're just scared babies. They lost their mother. I couldn't just leave them to die." The cub in his hands looked at Hyojin. It tilted its small head. Its yellow eyes were bright and curious. It made a small chirping sound. Hyojin felt something strange in her chest. The cub looked cute. That was wrong. Vralcon were not cute. They were monsters. Killers. But this small creature looking at her did not look like a monster. It looked like a baby. "This is against every protocol," she said, but her voice was not as firm as before. "I know," Daeho said, "but it was the right thing to do." Taeyang stepped forward. "Commander, we need to decide what to do. If we leave them here, they'll eventually become dangerous. If we release them in the wild, they'll die. They're too young to survive alone. And if we kill them," Daeho said quietly, "we're no better than the people who shoot first and ask questions later. These cubs didn't choose to be born as predators. They're just trying to survive like us." Hyojin looked at the three cubs. They were awake now, watching the humans with interest. One of them stretched, its small legs extending. Its tiny claws caught the light. Another one crawled to the edge of the bed and sniffed toward Taeyang. It seemed curious, not aggressive. "This is insane," Hyojin muttered. But she lowered her weapon completely. "All right. Here's what's going to happen. Those cubs stay in your room. You are responsible for feeding them, cleaning up after them, and making sure they don't hurt anyone. If they show any signs of aggression, we'll have to reconsider." "They won't," Daeho said quickly. "I promise." "You can't promise that. You don't know what they'll do, but..." Hyojin sighed. "We'll try it your way, for now. Taeyang, adjust the biosensors for Section C. Make it so they don't trigger for those 3 life signs. I don't want this alarm going off every night." "Yes, Commander," Taeyang said. He was still staring at the cubs. Hyojin turned to leave, then stopped. "Daeho, what are you going to name them?" Daeho looked surprised. "You're letting me keep them?" "I'm letting you try to keep them." "There's a difference. Now answer the question." Daeho looked at the cubs. "I haven't thought about it yet. Maybe Bora, Minyo, and Jisoo, Korean names for alien predators. That's fitting, I suppose." Hyojin walked toward the door. "Get some sleep. Tomorrow, you're going to explain to the entire science team how you plan to raise 3 Vralcon without getting killed. This should be interesting." After the security team left, Daeho lay back down. The cubs immediately climbed back onto him, finding their spots. Within minutes, they were purring again. In the command center, Hyojin watched the security footage of Daeho's room. The infrared cameras showed 3 small heat signatures and 1 human signature, all pressed together on the bed. "This is the strangest thing I've ever seen," Gite said. "Strange doesn't even begin to cover it," Hyojin replied, but she was smiling slightly. Maybe, just maybe, this would work out. Above the base, in orbit, alien observation satellites recorded everything. The footage was transmitted across light years to a dozen different species. Scientists and military leaders watched in confusion. A human sleeping with predators. It should have been impossible. But there it was, happening in real time. The galaxy was watching, and the galaxy could not understand. 8 weeks had passed since Daeho brought the cubs to the base. The small creatures that once fit in his hands were now the size of large dogs. Bora, the female, had grown the fastest. Her gray fur had darkened to almost black. Minyo was the largest of the 3, with broader shoulders and bigger paws. Jisoo was the smallest but the smartest, always watching and learning. Every day, Daeho's room became more chaotic. The cubs needed space to play and exercise. Commander Hyojin had given him permission to use an empty storage room next to his quarters. Daeho cleared it out and made it into a play area. He covered the floor with soft mats. He brought in climbing structures made from old equipment crates. The cubs loved it. They spent hours wrestling with each other, climbing and playing chase games. Daeho watched them and took notes. He was still a scientist after all. He recorded their behavior, their growth, their social interactions. What he learned amazed him. Vralkan were not mindless killers. They were intelligent. They communicated with different sounds. A chirp meant, "I'm happy." A low rumble meant, "I'm tired." A sharp bark meant, "Pay attention to this." They understood cause and effect. If Minho knocked over the water bowl, he learned to set it upright again. When Jisoo wanted food, she would bring Daeho the empty feeding dish. Most surprising of all, they bonded with him completely. Daeho was not just the human who fed them. He was their pack leader, their family. When he entered the room, all three cubs would rush to him, climbing over each other to reach him first. They would rub their heads against his legs and purr loudly. At night, they still slept in his bed, though now they barely fit. The other people on the base had mixed feelings about the cubs. Some were scared. They avoided Section C completely. Others were curious. A few scientists asked to observe the cubs. Daeho allowed it, but only if they followed his rules. No sudden movements. No loud noises. Always be calm. Dr. Yuna was the most interested. She was a xenobiologist like Daeho, but she studied animal cognition. She came to watch the cubs every day. She brought her cameras and recording equipment. "This is remarkable," she said one afternoon. She was watching Bora solve a puzzle box that Daeho had made. Inside the box was a piece of dried meat. Bora had to figure out how to open the latch. She's problem-solving. "Look at that." She's using trial and error. She remembers what didn't work and tries something new. Bora finally got the box open. She grabbed the meat and made a triumphant chirping sound. Then she looked at Daeho as if saying, "Did you see that? I'm so smart." Daeho smiled and scratched behind her ears. She leaned into his touch, purring. "Good girl, Bora." Yuna shook her head in wonder. "You know what's fascinating? She's not eating the meat right away. She's seeking your approval first. That's pack behavior. That's domestication behavior. Daeho, do you understand what you've done? I saved 3 baby animals. You've done more than that. You've proven that Vralkan can be domesticated. This changes everything we know about them. We thought they were too aggressive, too wild. But look at them. They're bonded to you. They trust you. They obey you." "I don't think of it as obedience," Daeho said. "It's more like friendship. They're my friends." Minho, who had been napping in the corner, suddenly raised his head. His ears pointed forward. He made a low warning sound. Bora and Jisoo immediately stopped playing and looked at the door. "What is it?" Yuna asked nervously. The door opened. A maintenance worker named Dongmin entered. He was new to the base, only here for 2 weeks. He had not met the cubs before. When he saw 3 large Vralkan staring at him, he froze. All 3 cubs had moved in front of Daeho. They stood in a protective line. Their lips pulled back slightly, showing teeth. Minho made a rumbling sound in his chest. Not aggressive, but a clear warning. "Stay back from our human." Daeho stepped forward and placed his hand on Minho's head. "It's okay. He's a friend." Friendly. He used the same calm voice he always used with the cubs. Minho looked up at Daeho, then back at Dongmin. Slowly, the tension left his body. He sat down. Bora and Jisoo followed his lead, but they kept watching the stranger carefully. I just came to fix the air filter," Dongmin said. His voice shook. "I'll come back later." "It's fine," Daeho said. "They won't hurt you. Just move slowly and don't make direct eye contact." "They see that as a challenge," Dongmin nodded. He walked very carefully to the air filter panel on the wall. His hand shook as he opened it. The cubs watched him the entire time. When he finished and left, they relaxed immediately and went back to playing. Yuna was writing notes furiously. "Did you see that? They protected you. They saw a stranger and immediately put themselves between you and potential danger. That's advanced pack behavior. That's loyalty. They're good friends," Daeho said simply. Over the next few weeks, the cubs continued to grow. They were now too big to all sleep in Daeho's bed. He made them a large sleeping area in the storage room. But every night, at least one of them would scratch at his door until he let them in. Usually it was Jisoo. She would jump up on the bed, curl up next to him, and fall asleep with her head on his shoulder. Daeho started teaching them tricks. Not because he wanted to show off, but because it kept their minds active. He taught them to sit on command, to stay, to come when called. They learned quickly. Within days, all 3 cubs understood basic commands. But the most impressive thing happened during a base inspection. A team of officials came from the main colony to check on the outpost. They had heard about the cubs and wanted to see them. Commander Heejin was nervous. She knew these officials could order the cubs removed or killed. The inspection team stood outside the exercise room. Taeho was inside with the cubs. Through the glass window, the officials watched. "Show us what they can do," the lead inspector said. His name was Sangwoo and he looked skeptical. Taeho nodded. He held up 3 colored balls. Red, blue, and green. "Bora, red." Bora immediately went to the red ball and touched it with her nose. Minho, blue. Minho did the same with the blue ball. Jisoo, green. Jisoo touched the green ball. The inspectors looked impressed. Sangwoo narrowed his eyes. "That's basic color recognition. Show me something harder." Taeho thought for a moment. Then he took out a small box with a complex locking mechanism. He showed it to the cubs. "Who can open this?" All 3 cubs approached the box. They sniffed it. Minho tried to bite the lock. That didn't work. Bora tried to knock it over. That didn't work either. Jisoo sat down and studied it. She looked at the lock from different angles. Then she used her claws to pull a small lever. The lock clicked open. She chirped happily and looked at Taeho for approval. He petted her and gave her a treat. The other 2 cubs crowded around wanting treats too. Taeho gave them each one, even though they hadn't solved the puzzle. They were trying, and that mattered. Sangwoo looked shocked. That lock was designed to be opened by humans with opposable thumbs. She figured it out in less than a minute. "She's very smart," Taeho said proudly. Another inspector, a woman named Yoonji, spoke up. "But they're still predators. What happens when they're fully grown? They'll be strong enough to kill you easily. How do you know they won't turn on you?" Taeho walked to the center of the room. He sat down on the floor. Immediately, all 3 cubs came to him. Bora lay down with her head in his lap. Minho pressed against his back. Jisoo draped herself across his legs. Together they formed a protective circle around him. "They won't hurt me," Taeho said simply. "I'm their family." The inspectors watched in silence. Yoonji had tears in her eyes. She wiped them away quickly. This shouldn't be possible. Every xenobiology text says Vralcon cannot be domesticated. But here they are, living with a human, protecting him, loving him. Sangwoo cleared his throat. "We'll report this to the colonial authority. For now, the cubs can stay, but we'll be monitoring the situation closely." After the inspectors left, Heejin came to see Taeho. She found him sitting on the floor of the exercise room, surrounded by sleeping cubs. He looked tired but happy. "You did well today," she said. "They did well," Taeho corrected. "I just showed people what I see every day." "What you've accomplished here is remarkable. People across the galaxy are watching this. The alien observation posts have been tracking the cubs' development. Everyone wants to know how a human befriended apex predators." "I didn't befriend them," Taeho said. "I just didn't give up on them." That's the human way, isn't it? We don't see something scary and run. We try to understand it first, Heejin smiled. That's exactly the human way. Above them, in the dark spaces between stars, alien scientists studied the footage from Kepler-9. They saw a human sleeping safely with 3 deadly predators. They saw the cubs obey the human's commands. They saw the trust, the bond, the love between different species, and they were afraid. Because if humans could turn apex predators into loyal companions, what else could they do? What other impossible things were humans capable of? The galaxy was beginning to understand. Humans were not dangerous because they were strong. They were dangerous because they made others strong. They didn't conquer nature. They befriended it, and there was no defense against that. The attack came 5 months after Taeho found the cubs. It happened on a quiet morning when most people were eating breakfast. The first sign of trouble was the explosion. The blast shook the entire base. Alarms screamed. Red emergency lights flooded every hallway. In the dining hall, people jumped from their seats. Coffee spilled. Plates crashed to the floor. Commander Heejin grabbed her communicator. "Report, what's happening?" Taeyang's voice came through tight with tension. "We have hostile contacts. 3 ships just came out of hyperspace. They're firing on the perimeter shields. Raiders, Commander. Looks like Kresh pirates." The Kresh were bad news. They were scavengers who traveled the outer colonies, attacking small research bases and mining operations. They took everything valuable and killed everyone they found. They didn't take prisoners. How long until the shields fail? Hyejin ran toward the command center. 20 minutes. Maybe less. They're using heavy weapons. Send a distress signal to the colonial fleet. And get everyone to the safe room. Already done, Commander. But the fleet is 3 hours away. We're on our own. Hyejin reached the command center. The main screen showed 3 Kresh ships in orbit. They were ugly, boxy vessels covered in weapons. They fired continuously at the base shields. Each impact made the whole station shake. Tae Yang was coordinating the security team. There were only 8 security officers on the base. They were trained for normal threats, not military raids. Commander, we don't have enough weapons or people to hold them off. Once they breach, we're finished. Hyejin felt cold fear in her stomach, but she pushed it down. Fear didn't help. Action helped. How many raiders? Scans show 40 Kresh on those ships. They'll send landing parties once the shields fail. 40 trained pirates against 8 security guards and 53 civilians. The math was terrible. Daeho burst into the command center. His hair was messy. He wore his sleeping clothes. Commander, what's happening? I felt the explosions. Kresh raiders. They're attacking the base. Where are the cubs? In the exercise room. They're scared. All the noise. Daeho's eyes widened. Commander, they can help. What? No, absolutely not. Bora, Minho, and Jisoo are fully grown now. They're strong, fast, they're natural hunters. If we're going to be attacked, we need every advantage. Hyejin stared at him. You want to use your pets as weapons? They're not pets. They're pack members, and they'll fight to protect their pack. That's what Vralcon do. Daeho stepped closer. Please, Commander. Let me ask them. If they don't want to fight, I won't force them. But they deserve the choice. Another explosion rocked the base. The shields were at 40%. Fine, Hyejin said. But if this goes wrong, it won't. Daeho ran from the command center. He found the cubs in the exercise room. All 3 were agitated. Their ears were flat against their heads. They paced back and forth, making worried sounds. When Daeho entered, they rushed to him. Bora, now as large as a tiger, pressed her head against his chest. Minho made a low questioning rumble. Jisoo sniffed the air, smelling the smoke from the damaged sections. I know you're scared, Daeho said. He placed his hands on Bora's head, looking into her yellow eyes. Bad people are coming. They want to hurt our pack. They want to hurt Hyejin, Yuna, Tae Yang, everyone here. We need to stop them, the cubs understood. Maybe not every word, but they understood the meaning. Danger, protect, pack. Minho growled. It was a deep, serious sound. He moved toward the door. Wait, Daeho said. He went to a storage locker and pulled out 3 items. They were harnesses he had made weeks ago, just in case. Each harness had a small camera and communicator attached. He fitted one on each cub. Stay with me. Follow my commands. And please, please be careful. The cubs touched their noses to his hands. Then they moved to the door, ready. The shields failed 16 minutes after the attack started. The Kresh ships landed in the open area outside the main building. 40 raiders poured out, carrying energy weapons and wearing combat armor. They were tall, gray-skinned aliens with 4 arms and no eyes. They sensed the world through thermal and sound detection. Tae Yang's security team took positions at the main entrance. They had pulse rifles and barriers. It wouldn't be enough, but they would try. The Kresh raiders approached the base. Their leader, a massive warrior named Grektar, laughed. He spoke in a clicking language that the base computers translated. Look at this pathetic defense. Humans are so weak, always hiding behind their technology. Let's show them what real warriors do. The raiders fired at the entrance. The security team fired back. Energy blasts lit up the morning. 2 security officers went down in the first exchange. The others pulled back, retreating into the building. The Kresh pushed forward. They were winning. They knew it. This would be an easy raid. That was when they heard the sound. It came from inside the building. A roar, no, 3 roars, deep and terrible. The sound of apex predators announcing their presence. Grektar stopped. What was that? The entrance doors exploded outward. 3 black shapes burst through. They moved so fast they were almost blurs. Bora, Minho, and Jisoo charged into the Kresh raiders. Chaos erupted. Bora hit the first raider with the force of a freight train. Her claws slashed through his armor like paper. He went down screaming. Minho took down 2 raiders at once, his powerful jaws closing on their weapons and crushing them. Jisoo moved like liquid shadow, dodging energy blasts and striking from unexpected angles. The Kresh had never fought Vralcon before. They didn't know how fast they were, how strong. How smart. From the command center, Deho watched through the Cubs' cameras. He spoke calmly into the communicator. Bora left flank. Minho center group. Jisoo high position. The Cubs followed his directions perfectly. Bora circled around to attack raiders who were trying to flank the security team. Minho held the center, his large body blocking the entrance. Jisoo climbed up the side of the building and launched herself down onto raiders from above. "This is impossible," Grektar shouted. "They're just animals. They can't be this coordinated." But they were, because they weren't just animals. They were soldiers. They were pack members following their leader's commands. Taiyang and his security team regrouped. With the Cubs creating chaos in the raider ranks, the security officers could focus their fire. They picked off raiders who were distracted by the Vralkan. The battle lasted 12 minutes. When it was over, 38 Kresh raiders were dead or wounded. The other two had run back to their ships and escaped into hyperspace. Not a single base personnel had died, though 3 security officers had injuries. The Cubs stood in the middle of the battlefield breathing hard. Their black fur was singed in places from energy weapon hits, but they were alive. They were victorious. Deho ran outside. He didn't care about the smoke or the bodies or the danger. He ran to the Cubs. All 3 turned to him. Their yellow eyes were bright with adrenaline. Minho made a questioning chirp. "Did we do good?" "You did so good," Deho said. His voice broke. He wrapped his arms around Bora's neck. She was so big now that he could barely reach. "You saved everyone. You're heroes." The Cubs pressed close to him. They made happy sounds. They didn't understand the word heroes, but they understood that their pack leader was proud. That was enough. The other base personnel slowly emerged from the safe room. They saw the battlefield. They saw the defeated raiders. They saw the 3 Vralkan standing protectively around Deho. Yuna was crying. "They fought for us. They actually fought for us." Commander Hyejin approached slowly. She looked at Deho and the Cubs. Then she did something unexpected. She saluted. "Thank you. All of you." Bora tilted her head, confused by the gesture. Then she tried to copy it, raising one paw awkwardly. It was so ridiculous that Hyejin laughed. A moment later, everyone was laughing. The tension broke. They had survived. Above the planet, the alien observation satellites recorded everything. The footage was transmitted immediately to dozens of worlds. Military analysts watched in shock. The Kresh were experienced raiders. They had destroyed hundreds of bases, but they had been defeated by 3 animals following human commands. No, not just animals. Weapons. Living weapons that humans had created simply by showing kindness to orphaned cubs. An emergency session was called on the Galactic Council. Representatives from 100 species gathered to watch the footage. "This changes everything," the Vrellan ambassador said. His tentacles writhed nervously. "We thought humans were weak. We thought they needed protection from predators. But they don't fear predators. They make friends with them. They turn them into allies." "It's not natural," the Kresh representative clicked angrily. He had lost 40 warriors in the raid. "Animals don't fight in organized groups. Not like this." "They do if humans teach them," the Vrellan ambassador replied. "Don't you see? This is what makes humans dangerous. They don't have claws or armor or natural weapons, but they don't need them. They can take any creature, any species, and turn it into an extension of themselves. They create bonds where none should exist." The council chamber fell silent. Every species there understood the implications. Humans had only been in the galactic community for 30 years. They were considered a minor species, weak, limited to their small corner of space. But if humans could do this with apex predators they had just met, what could they do with time? What could they do with intention? What could they do if 3 months after the Kresh attack, Dr. Yuna published her research paper? She called it Cross-Species Bonding and Domestication Acceleration in Humans, a study of Vralkan integration. The paper was 147 pages long. It contained video footage, behavioral analysis, genetic studies, and detailed observations of Deho's relationship with Bora, Minho, and Jisoo. The paper spread across the galaxy like fire. Within days, every major species had downloaded copies. Scientists, military leaders, politicians, and philosophers all read it. They watched the videos of cubs playing with a human. They saw the footage of the battle. They read Yuna's conclusions, and they were shocked. the Galactic Scientific Council invited Yuna to present her findings at their headquarters on the neutral station of Harmony Point. Commander Heejin approved her travel. Yuna asked if Daeho and the Cubs could come too. The council agreed, though they insisted on heavy security. The day of the presentation, the Grand Hall was packed. Representatives from 73 species filled the seats. More watched through live transmission from their home worlds. The hall was designed for all types of beings. Some seats were filled with water for aquatic species. Some areas had different atmospheric mixtures. Some beings floated, some sat, some stood on many legs. Yuna walked to the stage. She wore a simple blue dress. Her hands shook slightly. She had never spoken to so many important people before. Behind her, a large screen showed the title of her presentation. She began. Distinguished members of the council, honored guests. Today I will present findings that challenge everything we thought we knew about humans and their place in the galactic community. The crowd murmured. Yuna clicked to the first slide. It showed a picture of Daeho holding 3 tiny cubs in his jacket. 9 months ago, xenobiologist Daeho discovered 3 orphaned Vralcon cubs. The Vralcon are apex predators native to Kepler-9. They are responsible for 23 human deaths in the past 2 years. Every species in the galaxy knows not to approach them. They are considered impossible to domesticate. Too aggressive, too wild, too dangerous. Another slide. This one showed adult Bora sleeping with her head on Daeho's lap. Daeho didn't know this was impossible. Or maybe he knew and didn't care. He saved the cubs. He raised them. He bonded with them. And in doing so, he revealed something fundamental about human nature. Yuna clicked through more slides. Each one showed a different moment. The cubs learning tricks. Playing games. Following commands. Fighting raiders. Humans have a unique ability that we've overlooked. They can form bonds with almost any species. These bonds are not based on similarity. They are based on empathy, patience, and emotional connection. Humans look at another creature and see not what it is, but what it could be. They see potential for friendship where others see only danger. A voice called out from the audience. It was the Vrellan ambassador, his translator making his clicking speech understandable. But surely this is just one example. One human with 3 animals. It proves nothing about the species as a whole. Yuna smiled. I thought you might say that. So I did more research. She clicked to a new slide. This one showed images from Earth's history. On their homeworld, humans have domesticated hundreds of species. Dogs descended from wolves, deadly pack predators. Cats descended from wild hunters. Horses, large animals that could easily kill a human. Birds of prey, snakes, even insects. Humans saw dangerous animals and thought, I can be friends with that. More slides. Pictures of humans with animals. A child hugging a dog. A woman with a hawk on her arm. A man swimming with dolphins. This is not new behavior. This is what humans have always done. They entered every ecosystem on their planet, and instead of destroying it or fleeing from it, they integrated themselves into it. They made alliances with predators. They protected prey animals. They shaped entire species through selective breeding. In just 10,000 years, humans took wild wolves and created over 300 breeds of dogs, each one suited for a different purpose: herding, hunting, protection, companionship. The hall was completely silent now. Every being was focused on Yuna's words. Other species took millions of years to evolve symbiotic relationships. Humans do it in generations. They don't wait for evolution. They create bonds through will and emotion. And now they're bringing this ability to the galaxy. Yuna clicked to a video. It showed Daeho working with the cubs during the raider attack. His calm voice giving commands. The cubs responding instantly, moving as one coordinated unit. Watch this carefully. Those are not just animals following training. Those are pack members protecting their family. The cubs understand tactics. They respond to complex commands. They work together with human soldiers. This level of coordination normally takes decades of training. Daeho achieved it in 9 months. Another council member spoke. This was the Cathari representative, a floating being of pure energy. Her voice was like wind chimes. Are you suggesting that humans could weaponize any species? I'm suggesting that humans don't see the galaxy the way we do. We see divisions. Predator and prey, safe and dangerous, compatible and incompatible. Humans see potential connections. They believe that any gap between species can be bridged with enough patience and understanding. Yuna pulled up her final slide. It was a simple graph showing human population growth versus domesticated species diversity. On Earth, as human civilization grew, so did the number of species living alongside them, not as slaves or food sources, but as partners, as friends. They share their homes with animals. They cry when those animals die. They risk their lives to save them. This is not rational behavior by most standards, but it is fundamentally human behavior. She paused, looking around the hall. My conclusion is this: humans are not dangerous because they are aggressive. They are dangerous because they make others powerful. They elevate every species they bond with. They create loyalty that transcends biology. The Vrelkon cubs don't follow Deho because he controls them. They follow him because they love him, and they would die to protect him. The hall erupted in noise. Dozens of species began talking at once. Some were excited, some were frightened. The council chairman, a tall being from the elder races, raised forearms for silence. Dr. Yuna, this is the most disturbing research I've seen in 300 years. You're telling us that humans can potentially bond with any species, including ours? Yes, Yuna said simply. That's terrifying. Or it's wonderful. It depends on your perspective. The chairman looked at the guards near the stage entrance. Bring in the human and his companions. Deho entered with Bora, Minho, and Jisoo. The cubs were nervous. So many strange beings, so many unfamiliar smells. They pressed close to Deho, who kept his hand on Bora's head. The audience gasped. Seeing the cubs in video was one thing. Seeing them in person was different. They were massive now, each one weighing over 200 kilograms. Their muscles rippled under black fur. Their yellow eyes scanned the crowd, alert for danger. They were apex predators in every sense, but they walked calmly beside a human. They sat when he sat. They stayed quiet when he spoke softly to them. They looked at him with complete trust. The chairman stared. Human Deho, why did you save these creatures? Deho looked surprised by the question. Because they needed help. They were babies. They would have died. But they are predators. They could have killed you. They could still kill me, Deho said honestly. Bora could break my neck with one bite. Minho could tear me apart in seconds. Jisoo is fast enough to strike before I could react. But they won't. Because we're family. How can you be family? You're not the same species. Family isn't about species. It's about love and trust and being there for each other. These three have been there for me every day. They've made me laugh. They've kept me company when I was lonely. They saved my life during the raid. How are they not family? A small voice came from the audience. It was a young Thrixian, barely an adult by their species standards. Can humans bond with any of us? Not just animals? Deho smiled. We already do. Commander Hyjin is human, but she cares about every person on Kepler 9, no matter what species. Dr. Yuna has friends from 6 different worlds. Humans don't see you as aliens. We see you as people. If you're kind to us, we'll be kind to you. If you need help, we'll help you. That's just who we are. The hall was quiet again. Then slowly something changed in the atmosphere. The fear began to fade. Understanding took its place. The Vrellan ambassador stood. I think I finally understand. We've been afraid of humans because we thought they would dominate the galaxy. But that's not the threat. The threat is that we'll want them to stay. We'll form bonds with them. We'll trust them. And then we'll be changed, just like those cubs were changed. We'll become part of their pack. Is that so bad? Deho asked. The ambassador thought about it. Then he laughed, a strange clicking sound. No, perhaps it's not bad at all. Perhaps it's the best thing that could happen to us. Over the next months, everything changed. Human-led programs started on dozens of worlds. Humans helped other species with their dangerous native fauna. They taught bonding techniques. They showed how patience and understanding could turn enemies into allies. Some species resisted. They didn't want to, decided to